This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to mark the special occasion of
the brand new Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
Please welcome the star of the show, your host, Mike DJ Kelly.
Looking through the round window and in sky blue pink, it's yet more madcap podcast action with the supercharged, tango-filled Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast and the special Let's Rip Them Off edition.
On this week's podcast.
Coming up on the show, my digital friend Joyce, fake showbiz news, recommend a pod, charities, rich persons, rats, McCarthy Stone, Circus Maxximus, MagnaCarta, Ragged-Trousered Philanthropists, Mrs. Yorkshire the Baking Bard, plus lots of stuff you don't know, that you don't know, and a whole lot more.
Yabba-dabba-dabba-doo, it's the Mike Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast for you.
Morning, Joyce. Are you okay? You look a bit hot and bothered.
Yes, I am. I have just done the park run and got roped in with the cheerleaders at the end and ended up shaking my maracas in the little performance arty dance which involved vigorous movements and a lot of jumping and chanting.
As I said, you look hot and sweaty.
Horses sweat, women glow.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
I'm Mike Kelly with the latest Shorter Than Short news. Our top story, Labour to sell off allotments to solve the national debt crisis. University of Aberdeen, we would like to wish Her Majesty the Queen and Chancellor of the University of Aberdeen our very best wishes on her birthday. Bishop of Fulham, Jonathan Baker, shuts down London choir concert in his dressing gown for making a terrible racket. 72-year-old Spanish Amazon customer gets more than she bargained for when she ordered mosquito repellent on finding the delivery driver in her bedroom masturbating. Labour says the Great British Breakfast menu must include kippers and black pudding. UK Drinks Licensing Authority approve a new schnapps drink and grant schnapps a licence. Yorkshire Water bring back a reworked advertisement with the Henry Cooper line, "Don't splash it all over," as part of their hosepipe ban in Yorkshire. That's it, you're up to date with all the news that is news this hour. I'm Mike Kelly for STS News.
Just search or shout for the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
And what's out there on the social media sites? Father Paul went to a Pizza Hut for the first time in ages. It's now fully digital, which means you have to order from your phone and pay on your phone in advance with zero human interaction. Someone brings you food and leaves without a word, yet the app suggests you leave a tip. Graham Smith, Camilla left school with 1 O-level and later got fired from a secretarial job for being late. That was her career, yet because of the man she married, she's Chancellor of a university. David Osland, the House of Lords, gives peers £342 a day just for clocking on. A 10-hour shift as a resident doctor pays £175 and the Lord's allowance is tax-free. Jim Royal, what has happened to Brexiteer Tim Martin? Wetherspoons has banned people from entering their pubs with Union Jack dresses on. Dino Kino 101. These are the Epstein Island flight log manifests that were publicly released during Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. I went through all 118 pages, line by line. Trump is on pages 18, 24, 27, 37 and 45. Clinton is on pages 90, 91, 96 and 105, but doesn't show 28 trips. Trump went to the island more than Clinton did. Alan Dershowitz is all over the logs. Prince Andrew is on the log a couple of times. Mark David, he's hiding in plain sight like Savile, and the establishment treat him exactly the same way they treated Savile. There's a known sex offender making a public visit to Scotland, and instead of arresting him, we conspire to protect him. If Adolf Hitler flew in today, they'd send a limousine anyway. I'm one of the many who's not into wealth or rich people's lifestyles or TV shows about the biggest and most expensive. I do not think that somebody who has more money or a bigger house is more clever or important. In many cases, they start life with excessive wealth and spend their lifetime hanging on to it or increasing it. Writer Clifford Thurlow says, "There's a good reason why the rich always want more. Money provides status and connections. Big money makes you feel bigger than you are. The rich open doors for each other. Rich people don't know and don't want to know about the lives of poor people, their bills, their empty fridges and pockets, their petty troubles and endless needs. They can't work out why poor people don't get up in the morning with determination and go out and get rich." I might come back to this later.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Hello, it's not my fault you've ended up listening to this. Blame the algorithm. But while you're here, why not tell a friend or two about the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast show and show them where they can access it and also get them listening. If you want to get in touch about anything to do with the Shorter Than Short, please connect and follow. We're on most social media sites, but the main one is Mike DJ Kelly on Blue Sky Social.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
And in our Why Aren't They on the Telly spot, this week it's Eric Ricky Tomlinson, born the 26th of September 1939. He is an actor. He's best known for his TV roles as Bobby Grant in the soap opera Brookside, DCI Charlie Wise in Cracker, and Jim Royle in The Royal Family. He also played the title character in the 2001 football mockumentary Mike Bassett, England Manager. We want him back on the telly. Joyce, anything from you?
You know when they say before Martin Lewis money show don't go anywhere, it's a must-watch show tonight. Martin Lewis, do you think it's a bit over the top?
I see ITV is rumoured to be axing The Genius Game, hosted by David Tennant and tagged as the most expensive flop in years, after the final's audience only matched that of the BBC Two Pangolian documentary. They say young people are watching less and are more likely to watch YouTube. Who can blame them? It's very difficult to find a TV show that's not previously been shown, never mind the same films rotating weekend after weekend on the same channels. But YouTube is in trouble with the advertising standards people for being full of influencers and adverts that are full of lies and will lose your money. On radio, Boom Radio is doing well. The latest official audience figures are published and they have more listeners than ever, listening longer than ever, and may they say a huge thank you for your support. Phil Riley, the big boss, Boom Radio's hours are now 37% of the entire BBC local radio network, despite not having any FM or AM transmitters or dense local DAB coverage, or 40 years of heritage, or £100 million plus of resource to throw at the output.
What's that you are eating? Where's it from and where's mine?
It's a slice of warmed up black pudding with apple sauce. There's plenty. Do you want some?
No, I'm still thinking of the 2013 horse meat scandal. It's a scary moment. It's like when I was a young mum, I would start crying when I thought I'd lost the kids in the ball pool pit.
Joyce tells it as it is.
I think everybody now doubts the mainstream media for the lack of truth and honesty in the stories they tell. But was it always this way, or did they used to be more honest in years gone by? Or have we always been lied to? Has there always been a higher body, group of people who feel they know what is best and this is what the nation should be doing? Who are these people?
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
If you use a search engine and you ask who is the world leader, this is the answer I got on an American-made computer connected to a search engine based in the USA. As of 2025, the United States is widely considered the most powerful nation. And this is not just because of its vast military forces. The US has the world's largest economy, advanced technological innovations, and a global network of strategic partnerships that give it significant influence on the global stage. It also has bully boy Trump, who likes the village people, doesn't like wind farms, yet there are many in Texas, cheats at golf when the world is watching, and is part of the Epstein story. Apparently, rich people who get imprisoned or fined for some criminal act can remove all trace of it by paying for a pardon. Several examples are available where wrong-uns have made financial donations to Trump's party and received pardons for their crimes.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
And on Rat Watch, our previous winning verse from Mouldy Cheese in Newquay about the ongoing bin strike in Birmingham was crunch, crunch, munch, munch was the sound of the rat eating his lunch. Food from Birmingham was to his taste, but it meant an increase in the size of his waist.
Yes, well, we have had a message from Chris P. Bacon of Horncastle, who sent a verse for the new mega rat of Teesside. There is a Teesside rat bigger than a cat. It's all part of the rat infestation across the nation. The giant rat is 2 foot from nose to tail. It's bigger than the 2018 Dorset mega rat. Everyone's looking for an even bigger red car rat. The council rat catcher said, it's pest control out of control.
Rubbish. Just jotted this down while you were speaking. Crunch, munch, way I mean, was the sound of a Geordie rat the size of a cat eating his lunch. Food waste from Redcar was to his taste, but with an increase in the size of his waist, this has led to his mates calling him obese. His body mass is the fixation of the nation.
Have you any more from that nice lady you had on last time? Was it Mrs. Yorkshire the Baking Bard?
The dinosaurs had learned to read when they were here before us. I hear the smarter dinosaur was known as Thesaurus. I know some jokes about the unemployed, he said, and smirked. I thought I'd tell a few, but then I found none of them worked. Search for Mrs. Yorkshire the Baking Bard to find more of her fabulous work, or go to her Facebook page at facebook.com/Mrs. Yorkshire the Baking Bard.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
A lot of people complaining about the cost of a UK holiday, parking, if there is any, ice creams, meals, accommodation, all at top prices for average service. Not sure what the answer is. I suppose it could be worse. You could end up on a cruise liner paying staff minimum wages. I like the adverts that show individuals at bars or in the pool on a cruise ship. The other 3,000 passengers must be waiting for their turns.
Yabba dabba dabba doo, it's the Mike Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast for you.
And on costs, who plans these things and how come they cost so much? A woman has claimed new accessibility lifts installed at Leatherhead Station in Surrey are too small for her wheelchair. The lifts, which formed part of a £6.2 million investment in Leeds, City Square has undergone a major transformation to become a pedestrian-friendly space. This £3.5 million project, Leeds Town Hall refurbishment, is a £19.8 million project with the aim of transforming the venue into a colourful and joyful concert facility. And in the Big Number League, a report by the HS2 Limited Chair, Alan Cook, warns that the railway may not be finished before 2040 and could cost £88 billion. Maybe it's because they do not like to use small local companies, but only so-called larger and more trusted ones, or maybe it's all to do with the backhanders.
Live across the universe, it's the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
Talking of numbers, 80s pop outfit New Music were ahead of the curve with their Living by Numbers hit. Living by numbers now, so you're living by numbers and numbers you answer to. You can count all the numbers, you bet that someone's counting you. And today's do-gooders are alexanderrose.org.uk. Founded in 1912 by Queen Alexandria, the Alexandra Rose Charity was established to support Londoners in poverty, inspired by a priest in her native Denmark selling roses to raise money for those in need. Queen Alexandra brought the idea back to the UK. Our mission is to give families on low incomes access to fresh fruit and veg in their local communities. In 2014, we launched the Rose Vouchers for Fruit and Veg project, which helps families to buy fresh fruit and vegetables and supports them in giving their children the healthiest possible start. Find out more about today's do-gooders. They are at alexandriarose.org.uk.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Today's music quiz features a 1975 hit on the Island record label from the album Siren. Who's singing and what's the song? Late that night I parked my car, staked my place in the singles bar. Face to face, toe to toe, heart to heart as we hit the floor. Name the song or the group or both.
I know the answer, it's Ozzy Eastbourne.
No, but we do say R.I.P. to the great John Michael Ozzy Osbourne, who was a singer, songwriter and media personality. He co-founded the pioneering heavy metal band Black Sabbath in 1968 and rose to prominence in the 1970s as their lead vocalist. During this time, he adopted the title Prince of Darkness. He performed on the band's first 8 albums, most notably including Black Sabbath's Paranoid, Master of Reality, before he was fired in 1979 due to his problems with alcohol and other drugs.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Downsizing for older people can often mean moving into a McCarthy Stone type money pit. The idea is older people downsize and make houses with unused bedrooms available to bigger, younger families. Trouble is, when you no longer need your retirement home, they are often hard to sell and all monthly charges still apply while the property is empty and being sold. If the government changed the law and say allowed you to let homeless people sleep in the property until it was sold, this might speed up the process.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
So in this crazy world, do people marry animals? Well, in the movie world, there's Beauty and the Beast. The classic fairy tale with various film adaptations features a human woman named Belle who falls in love with a cursed prince who is a beast. Or in other stories like The Frog Princess, The Bear Husband features human-animal pairings where one partner is transformed into an animal. And for a different viewpoint, in The Animal 2001, a man receives a transplant of animal organs, gaining animal-like abilities and tendencies. But the question is, have any real people-animal weddings taken place? Well, thanks to those good people at Wiki, here's the info we need. In many, if not most jurisdictions, there's no legal precedent for marrying another animal. However, several individuals claim to have done so. In 1992, an American man named Mark Matthews married his horse. He wrote a memoir describing the concealment of his zoophilia from his Methodist family. In 2005, an American man ordained with the Universal Life Church married humans and their pets. A British woman who married her dog and created the website marriedyourpet.com after she became ordained to marry humans and their pets and has performed about 100 ceremonies. I checked this and the website exists. And it says, so you adore your pet, consult him when channel switching and give him fresh fish every Sunday. But if you really love him and you're in this for life, isn't it time you married your pet? In 2005, another British woman reportedly married a dolphin. And then there is the Sudanese goat marriage incident, which made headlines in 2006 when a man was forced to marry his goat after being caught in a sexual interaction with it.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
And if you're new to the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast, you can still get to hear all previous episodes just by searching or shouting the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
Yabba dabba dabba doo, it's the Mike Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast for you.
And in our Here's Something You Don't Know spot, I was thinking about loud music. Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, The Who, and how they created that great sound. It seems the answer is James Charles Marshall, OBE, who lived between 1923 and 2012. Known as the father of loud, he was an English businessman and pioneer of guitar amplification. His company, Marshall Amplification, founded in 1962, has created equipment that is used by some of the biggest names in rock music, producing amplifiers with an iconic status. From 1960, Marshall owned a moderately successful music store in West London, selling drums and then branching out into guitars. His many guitar-playing customers, including Ritchie Blackmore, Big Jim Sullivan and Pete Townshend, spoke of their need for a particular kind of amplifier, with Townshend wanting something bigger and louder, and Marshall saw the opportunity, founding Marshall Amplification in 1962 with Dudley Craven and Ken Brown. Using a Fender Bassman as a starting point, it took them 6 attempts to create an amp, the Marshall JTM 45, that Jim Marshall was happy with, and it was Pete Townshend of The Who who dubbed it the Marshall sound that revolutionized music.
Okay, my turn. The Circus Maximus, Latin for largest circus, is an ancient Roman chariot racing stadium and mass entertainment venue in Rome, in the valley between the Aventine and Palatine Hills. It was the first and largest stadium in ancient Rome and its later empire. It could accommodate over 150,000 spectators, and it became the model for circuses throughout the Roman Empire. The site is now a public park. Events ranged in duration and scope from one-day or even half-day events to spectacular multi-venue celebrations held over several days, with religious ceremonies and public feasts, horse and chariot racing, athletics, plays and recitals, beast hunts and gladiator fights. Some included public executions.
So what is the MagnaCarta? It established the principle that the king and his government are not above the law, and it placed limits on royal authority by asserting the law as a power in itself. The MagnaCarta meaning Great Charter, is a royal charter of rights agreed to by King John of England at Runnymede in 1215. It's a fundamental document in the development of constitutional law and individual liberties, particularly in the English-speaking world. While many of its original clauses are no longer in effect, the MagnaCarta is still significant for its role in establishing the principle that even the king is subject to the law.
Excuse me, maybe a 2025 amendment which says the king pays tax like the rest of us and he does not own the coastline.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Yes, it's time for more from the social media sites. Mum on the move. My student loans better go where those Epstein files went. Peacock Simon. Tesco are selling an empty jar for £2.50 on the homeware aisle, yet 2 aisles up you can get the same jar filled with pickled onions for 40p. Sheena. Not wanting to provide ID to access porn sites, instead I've been googling images of large sausages. It's doing the job, and in all honesty, I've seen worse. Sheena, why do people eat chocolate liqueurs? It's like someone's injected night nurse into a segment of a Yorkshire bar. Simon Maggin, let's sell off the allotments has got to be one of the most cack-handed political pitches in recent history. Jeremy Corbyn, is this government going to put the nail in the coffin of the joy of digging ground for potatoes on a cold, wet February Sunday afternoon? The battle for grassroots is on. Dr. Steve Taylor, NHS England, has not changed Physician Associate PA role descriptions in line with the Leng Review recommendations and its own advice to GPs. Failed leadership, failed policies, failing at NHS England. Parody Keir Starmer. Nigel Farage says he's never worked in a prison, so he's unable to answer a question on prison policy. On that basis, he will have no views on health, defence, culture, energy, education, farming, transport law, or anything other lying and grifting.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Fake Showbiz News at Fake Showbiz News. Taylor Swift says someone like Fairy or Dettol should start selling a water solution specially formulated for washing fruit. It could be a big seller with neurotic parents, she laughed. Judge Jules warns he's going to remove the request sheet from his DJ booth if people don't stop requesting silly things like the Teletubbies theme tune, auto glass repair, auto glass replace. Government announces £2.5 billion pilot scheme to harness Greg Wallace's intense bitterness to power the national grid. Davina McCall says make sure you don't overdo it in these hot conditions, especially if you're fat.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
Don't forget, my pod-picking friends, if you want to get in touch about anything to do with the Shorter Than Short podcast show, please use the following to contact us. And if you have any stories, gossip or jokes or anything for the next episode, do connect and follow at MikeDJKelly on Blue Sky Social. Please do follow, and if you have time, as always, it would be appreciated if you could give us a review on any of the usual review feedback sites. Guess the celebrity, born the 29th of August 1958, he is a British-Jamaican comedian, actor and writer. He gained success as a stand-up comedian and impressionist in the late 1970s and early 1980s. He appeared in TV programmes including entertainment show Tiswas, sitcom Chef and Magicians for BBC One. For 8 years, he was the Chancellor of Birmingham City University. He co-founded the charity Comic Relief with comedy screenwriter Richard Curtis. Who is he?
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Recommend a pod, and for this week, it's a bit of a change. It's the very well-known radio presenter and podcaster, Martin Kellner. He's on Talk Sport 1 till 6 a.m, Saturday and Sunday, talking to insomniacs, Malaysians and elderly gentlemen who combine prostate issues with ownership of a digital radio. Hear his many podcast tales and sign up for a paid membership at martinkellner.substack.com.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
I said we'd come back to it. Those conniving rich types. Who cares about the law? Mohammed Mansour illustrates why the rich always want more. With a £730 million fortune, according to the Sunday Times Rich List, when Sunak was chosen by his own MPs to be Prime Minister, he made Nadeem Zawahi worth £100 million. Conservative Party chairman appointed Mohammed Mansour with £2.3 billion. The Conservative Party's senior treasurer tasked with raising funds for the next general election. Mr. Mansour made a donation of £5 million to the Conservative Party, and Mr. Sunak has made him a knight. Mr. Mohammed owns Mantrak Vostik, a subsidiary of the UK-based Unitrack, a company that, according to the Daily Mirror, combines to supply Caterpillar machinery to Russia's oil and gas industry in spite of sanctions imposed when Russia invaded Ukraine. Narayan Murthy illustrates why rich always want more. Narayan Murthy, Sunak's father-in-law, worth $3.2 billion, is the co-founder of the internet company Infosys. Like Mr. Mansour, he has not closed his offices in Moscow. That's another thing about rich people. They don't think the laws apply to them. Rishi Sunak's wife, Ashkita, is a good example. She did not surrender her American green card when she moved to the UK and maintained non-dom status to avoid tax until it became too embarrassing to continue. Clifford Thurlow's new book, How to Rob the Bank of England, is out now.
Yabba dabba dabba doo, it's the Mike Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast for you.
If you want to get in touch with this top-rated and sometimes much-listened to podcast, please connect and get in touch about anything to do with the Shorter Than Short podcast. We are on most social media sites, but the main one is Mike DJ Kelly on Blue Sky Social. If you want a podcast making for your business or need any help with radio producer, presentation work, travel news, voiceover work, please do get in touch. Do please tell your friends about the podcast. All they need to do to find it is search on Google for the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
Final burst on those social media sites. Get a Grip. The Ragged-Trousered Philanthropist is a novel by Robert Noonan, written under his pen name Robert Tressel, and was published in 1914 after his death. George Orwell described it as a book that everyone should read. It warns us about diversive, bigoted bastards like Lee Anderson. Bank of Dave. Please contact #Bank of Dave. We will take care of all costs for this damage to be made right. Fred Dibner, MBE, is a legend and was a wonderful man who did so much for lots of good causes and helped put Bolton and the North on the map. Doctors Association UK, GP practices have had a 20% funding cut over the last 8 or 9 years, which means we have unemployed or underemployed GPs. We could have a lot more access to GPs if the funding was made available. Catherine C.J. Hall, morning, I'm a bit puzzled by why Rayner is talking about closing allotments. We have a large one in our village that I imagine has been there for decades, very well kept by locals and somewhere they enjoy going to chat and socialise, as well as to grow their prize marrows and enjoy the outdoors. What the feck is wrong with that? What harm is an allotment doing to our government and our country? People need their hobbies and interests, and they need to mix with other like-minded people. Honestly, this is just cruel towards good people who are probably retired and don't have a big garden or any garden at home and just want to do something they enjoy. Michael Lambarta, anyone know what happened to our test and trace mastermind who managed to spend 28 billion on something which did not work and which by our own admission was never expected to work on its own? Funny that, I'm pretty sure that I had COVID last week, felt the worst I've ever felt, but if you search COVID stats, the spread rate is low. Do you know why that is? It's because nobody's checking or counting. I had COVID. Who knew? Only the people I tell. And on a medical note, there's a guy called Mike D who highlights what he sees as wrongdoings, mainly to do with the MPs. This is what he has to say about Wes Streeting. Wes Streeting, Labour MP for Ilford North since 2015, 528 majority in 2024. There are stars and there are stars, and for many, Wes is the brightest of them all. He was once the Shadow Secretary of State for Child Poverty. Those caring, altruistic qualities in Wes have been justly recognised now that he is Secretary of State for Health and Social Care. Wes has many supporters and benefactors. At the Electoral.com UK website shows that Wes has received £587,258.66 in donations, with his £159,038 salary, expenses £33,653.91 claimed in the past year, generous donations, allowances and perks. Wes has certainly made the most of his opportunities and made lots of money along the way. But life and being in government is about making tough choices, and on the 9th of July 2025, Wes, with a heavy heart, voted for universal credit PIP cuts that will result in further hardship for people who are disabled and vulnerable. Wes also voted reluctantly to scrap the winter fuel payment for vulnerable pensioners and voted with deep regret to retain the two-child benefit cap, which significantly contributes to child poverty in the UK. You can follow Mike D at MJDally57. And in the late news, new survey finds chips are bad for you and can lead to a 20% chance of type 2 diabetes. Samaritans to close at least 100 branches across the UK and Ireland. Trump pays Scotland a visit to promote his golf club at American taxpayers' expense. Is the TV show Homes Under the Hammer the root cause of housing problems, with so many now creating buy-to-lets or HMOs?
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kelly. You are out of time. You must stop now.
Okay, it's time to go. Guess the song or name the artist who had a hit with the song these lines came from. Late that night I parked my car, staked my place in the singles bar, face to face, toe to toe, heart to heart as we hit the floor. It was Brian Ferry, Roxy Music, Love is a Drug. Guess the celebrity, born 29th of August 1958. He is a British Jamaican comedian, actor and writer, he gained success as a stand-up comedian and impressionist in the late 1970s and early 80s. He appeared in TV programmes including children's entertainment show Tiswas, sitcom Chef and The Magicians for BBC One. For 8 years he was Chancellor of Birmingham City University and he co-founded the charity Comic Relief with the comedy screenwriter Richard Curtis. It is Sir Lemworth George Henry Lenny Henry. Today's do-gooders are alexandriarose.org.uk. And guess what? It's been a blast, but that's enough of this Let's Rip Them Off edition of the crazy Shorter Than Short podcast show. From me, Mike Kelly.
And from me, Joyce, who's ready for a drink and heading off to Spoons.
Thank you for listening. Please take care out there. And remember, you can always find the podcast by searching or shouting the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast. Thank you.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.